Chant and dance as much as possible in this human form of life.
Om Ajnanathimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Stute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadhi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Heimavadivya Chavisundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. Before I begin, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Abhay Charanaravinda, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada who are traveling around the globe preaching this message of love of Godhead as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whatever I would be presenting are from the letters and conversations and the morning walks and the books that Srila Prabhupada and his disciples have presented. So the whole and soul credit to each and every point from our discussion goes to Srila Prabhupada. Secondly, I want to express my gratitude to all the organizers and all the leaders of all the ISKCON temples, Cincinnati, Columbus, Indianapolis, Louisville, Knoxville, and also Partha Foundation. I express my heartfelt gratitude to all the leaders and organizers. Thank you so much for very kindly inviting me to your Sangha. And lastly, I want to express my gratitude to all the assembled devotees here. I beg for your blessings and best wishes so that I may speak some favorable words in the glorification of the most magnificent, most munificent incarnation of this age of Kali, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Please accept my very humble obeisances. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So as Bhavagrahi Govinda Prabhu and Pandit Srivas Prabhu mentioned, this is part 2 and the final part of our discussion on Sri Gaurachandra, the rising moon of Navadvip Dham. So just a quick recap of the things that we discussed last Saturday. We discussed about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as to how the Supreme Lord, when he appears in Navadvip Dham, he increases the glory of Navadvip Dham. We discussed from the Ananta Samhita, the conversation between Lord Shiva and Parvati about as to how Navadvip Dham appeared in this world. We also briefly spoke about Markandeya Muni's interaction with the Surabhi cow and how the whole thing happened in Godruma Dweep, to illustrate this point as to how Navadvip Dham is so glorious that even during the time of total annihilation, total devastation, Navadvip Dham and all the pastime places of the Lord, they never get destroyed. And likewise, we extol this point as to how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would speak about Krishna Nam, but his associates were so glorious that they would give out Gaur Nam, they would give out Nitai Nam. And to be precise, we were discussing from Prema Vivarta of Sri Jagadananda Pandit. Jagadananda Pandit was one of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's school friends. So they would all go to school together. And we discussed a few instances from the life of Jagadananda Pandit that is not found in any other scripture like Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat. And to remind all of us, we discussed on the pastime of the parrot, as to how parrot was very keen to flap its wings and chant Gaura, Gaura, Gaura. And likewise, we also discussed as to how Jagadananda Pandit, he walked all the way to Bengal to get oil so that he could give to Govinda to massage the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way, we had a very beautiful discussion. We also saw the fiery side of Jagadananda Pandit. We also made this point that Jagadananda Pandit is Satyabhama. So that's where this dhara of very fiery mood comes, and how Jagadananda Pandit for 3 days and 3 nights did not eat, nor did he talk to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we saw a few instances from Prema Vivarta, and these were the pastimes that occurred in Navadvip Dham. So we continue from where we left off about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's beautiful activities in Navadvip and various other interactions and various beautiful pastimes that took place in this most wonderful, glorious land of Navadvip Dham. Srila Prabhupada's guru, Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was called as Simha Guru, Lion Guru, who would roar against the Mayavadis and the atheists. Srila Saraswati Thakur would make a very fantastic point. Saraswati Thakur would say, just imagine if you have 3 books in your hand, that is Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And if suppose you are drowning in an ocean and the weight of these 3 books are not helping you rise over the ocean, but they're drowning you more and more because of their weight. So Saraswati Thakur was adding to this point by saying that if you are in an ocean and if you are drowning and if you have to give up one book because it's very heavy, Saraswati Thakur said we should give up the Bhagavad Gita, but hold on to the Bhagavatam and the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. But then Saraswati Thakur later continued by saying, if we are still drowning in this ocean, then we should give up Bhagavatam. Give up the Bhagavad Gita, give up also the Bhagavatam, but never ever leave the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because Chaitanya Charitamrita is the only prized possession of the Gaudiyas. We see Bhagavad Gita is accessed by everyone. Bhagavatam, there are multiple commentaries to the Bhagavatam, and the Vaishnava Samaj, they access the Srimad Bhagavatam. But when it comes to the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is exclusively accessed only by the Gaudiyas. It is meant only for the Gaudiyas. So Saraswati Thakur would make this point that this is the crest jewel. This is the prized possession of the Gaudiya followers. So at no cost should we leave Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita from our life. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is written by the most wonderful, most merciful Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Kaviraj Goswami makes some very fantastic points in the Adi Leela of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in this world, so he's asking this question, when Mahaprabhu is appearing, what is the reason for which Gauranga is appearing? What is going on in his heart that is making him appear in this world? And then Kaviraj Goswami answers his own question. It's almost like Shripad Hari Suri. Hari Suri in his Bhakti Rasayan would ask questions and he himself answers the question that he's asking. Similarly, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is asking the question about the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the reason behind the advent, and he himself answers the question. And Kaviraj Goswami says, fundamentally, there are two aspects to Gauranga Mahaprabhu's appearance. There are internal reasons and there are external reasons. So for those who are writing down, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes down for two main purposes: to fulfill his internal reason and to fulfill his external reason. What is the external reason? Propagating Harinam. Harinam Sankirtan, to propagate Nam Sankirtan, the Yoga Dharma. That is the external reason. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exclusively doesn't come down to give Harinam, because that can be given by Nityananda Prabhu also, who is Adi Guru. That can also be given by Haridas Thakur, who is Namacharya. Well, even Nitai and Haridas don't have to come. Harinam can be spread throughout the world by exalted, powerful associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like our Srila Prabhupada. So the Lord himself doesn't have to come down to give Harinam. Associates like Srila Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, they themselves can travel around and give the holy name. So giving out holy name, preaching holy name, that is the external reason for Gauranga Mahaprabhu's appearance. So now the question arises, what is the internal reason? What is going on in the heart of Sri Krishna that impels him to come down in the mood of Radharani as Sachinandan Mahaprabhu? And Kaviraj Goswami says there are three reasons, three internal reasons why Gauranga Mahaprabhu appears. But before we see the internal reasons, we'll take two examples, two practical examples that we all can resonate with. Because if we understand the example, then we can very well understand the mind of Sri Krishna, what was going on in the mind of Sri Krishna. So we'll try to take some practical fundamental examples. The first example, let us consider there is a sugar ball. We see when a sugar ball is kept on the ground, naturally from all sides, ants, they come and they start chewing on the sugar ball. We don't have to go and tell the ants that, well, I've kept a sugar ball here, it's time for you to come and eat. The moment sugar ball is kept, the ants from every nook and corner, they start coming and they start eating the sugar ball. Now the sugar ball is sweet, but the sugar ball itself doesn't understand its sweetness. The sugar ball is thinking to itself that what is it in me that the ants are getting attracted to? Because the ants know the sweetness of sugar, but the sugar himself doesn't know. So the sugar ball is thinking, what is there in me that is attracting the ants? Why is it that the ants are coming from all ends to taste what I have? This is the first example. Second, now let us consider if there is a music shop and there is a music shop owner, the owner who owns that music shop. And this music shop owner has all the beautiful instruments. He has the guitar, he has the violin, he has the saxophone, he has the, if he's a devotional owner, he has the mridanga, he has the kartal, he has the harmonium, he has the flute, he has all the instruments. But there is a problem. The problem is the owner has all the instruments, but he doesn't know how to play any of those instruments. He possesses everything, but when it comes to playing these instruments, he has absolutely no idea. He has absolutely no clue what these instruments can offer. But now there is a person who walks into the music shop, and this person just picks up one of the music instrument. And because he's so skilled at playing the musical instrument, he picks up that instrument and very nicely, he starts playing different ragas. He starts playing different melodies. So much so that the music shop owner is completely awestruck. He's completely bewildered. He starts thinking to himself, wait a minute, these instruments are there in my shop, but I don't know as to how much happiness they can give to my heart. It's only when someone from outside comes and plays this instrument, it's only then can I get to know the happiness that is there in my shop itself. So the music shop owner has absolutely no idea as to what is that thing that attracts people to his shop. And likewise, in the first example, the sugar ball, the sugar cube has absolutely no idea as to what is that thing that attracts the ants towards itself. Now, if we all follow this example, we will understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's incarnation. Now we try to map both of these examples to the heart of Sri Krishna. In the first case, dear devotees, that sugar ball is none other than Krishna. He is the sweetest. Madhuram madhurebhyopi mangalebhyopi mangalam pavanam pavanebhyopi hare namaiva kevalam. Nilkantha Goswami, in his beautiful Kevalashtakam, he starts off by saying Madhuram Madhurebhyopi. Krishna and Krishna's name, oh, they're the sweetest, sweeter than the sweet. So Krishna is as sweet, probably he's more sweeter than the sugar ball. But now, when Radharani approaches Sri Krishna, Radharani gives 10 million times more happiness to the heart of Sri Krishna. Krishna, like that sugar ball, is unable to understand as to what is it that is attracting Radharani to me. Just like in the first case, the sugar ball has no idea as to how the ants are getting attracted. Similarly, Krishna, being the sweetest sugar, has no idea as to why Radharani gets attracted to him. In the second case, Krishna is like that music shop owner. And the person who's entering that music shop owner is Srimati Radharani. So Srimati Radharani picks up different instruments and starts playing. And Krishna becomes completely mesmerized, thinking to himself that what is it that is giving me so much happiness? I give happiness to the whole world, but how is it that this personality is giving so much happiness to my heart? Now Krishna is in a predicament. So now Krishna decides there is only one way of solving the solution. How I wish I switch sides. How I wish I take the mood of Radharani and see from the eyes of Radharani as to what she feels when she sees Krishna. If I take the mood of Radharani and I look at Sri Krishna, what are the things that goes on in the heart of Radhika? So Krishna thinks to himself, only if I switch sides can I understand, because Radharani, by her humility, will never reveal. And none of the devotees will ever reveal. So Krishna, being Bhagavan, wants to experience the mood of a devotee. What is that impetus in Srimati Radharani that is attracting Radharani to Sri Krishna? Just like the ants get attracted to the sugar, and a music player is attracted to the music shop. In this way, dear devotees, Krishna, to understand his own sweetness, Krishna to understand his own madhurya, Krishna to understand what is it in him that is attracting everyone, Krishna switches sides and comes in the mood of Radhika. And we all know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 500 years back in Navadvip Dham. But Krishna was so eager to understand this mode of Radharani that not just 500 years back, Krishna gave multiple demonstrations 5,000 years back, even during his Krishna Leela. There are multiple pastimes to illustrate this point as to how even in Krishna Leela, the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, he switched sides and took the mood of Radharani to understand from the vision of the Radharani, from the eyes of Srimati Radharani as to what she feels when she sees Krishna. So our Acharyas very beautifully, they say that when Srimati Radharani was very small, you see in Vrindavan, small girls are called as Lali. So Lali, when she was very small, so following the Brajavasis, because Rupa Goswami says, Tishtan Vraje, Tad Anuragi Jananugami. As Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should follow the Brajavasis. So we will also try to address Radharani as Lali in our discussion. So when Lali was very small, one very exalted sage, he walked by. And Lali was so innocent, she was very small. So to please the sage, what she did was she made a laddu and she tried to offer the laddu to this sage and said, "Oh Munivar, "Oh sage, oh sadhu, can you please eat this laddu and please tell me how it tastes? Can you please eat and let me know, because there's no one around. So can you please eat and let me know how this laddu has come?" So the sage agreed. The Muni who was present, he agreed. But the interesting point here was, because Lali was very small, she had not actually made a laddu. She had just collected sand and made that sand into a ball. So it was a ball of mud. Mitti ka gola tha. It was a ball of mud that she had made. And that ball of mud she gave to the sadhu and said, "Oh sadhu, can you please eat?" Now the sadhu had no idea that Lali was giving Mitti a ball of mud. So he immediately took this ball of mud and he was about to put this ball of mud inside his mouth. But by Radharani's power potency, because that ball of mud had touched the lotus hands of Srimati Radharani, immediately that ball of mud turned into an actual laddu. It turned into a real laddu. So when the sage put this laddu inside his mouth, he was so excited. He was so happy. He had never tasted a laddu that was as sweet and as tasty as Lali had given him. So this sadhu became very happy. And as we know, traditionally, the sadhus, when they get angry, they give a curse. But when they become very happy, they give a boon. Vajradapi kathoram, kusumadapi sukomalam. They are as strong as a thunderbolt and they are as soft as a lotus. So when the sadhu ate the real laddu, he became very happy and he blessed Lali. He blessed our Srimati Radharani. That, "Oh Radharani, oh Lali, because you selflessly gave me this laddu, I bless you that whatever you prepare, you will have this ability of not repeating your dishes. You will be so skilled in preparing dishes that you will never repeat the dish. And to add to it, whoever eats your preparation, that person will never ever fall ill. That is the benediction I give. Anyone who eats from your hand, that is from the hands of Srimati Radharani, such a person will never ever fall ill. Oh Lali, this is my benediction to you." And saying thus, the sage left. Now Radharani was very small, but Brajavasis, as we know, village life is such that news doesn't stay at one place. It spreads. So this news spread like wildfire. Nandagram, Varsana, and different places. This news spread, and it came to the ears of Maya Yashoda. So Yashoda Maya got to know that Lali has got this benediction. The daughter of Kirtida has this benediction that anyone who eats from her hand, they will have a long life and they will not fall ill. So what do you think naturally Mother Yashoda would do? Mother Yashoda thought to herself, "How I wish I call Lali to Nanda Bhavan so that she can cook for my Krishna. And if Krishna eats, naturally Krishna will have a long life and Krishna will not fall ill." So Maya Yashoda, because Maya Yashoda was very close to Kirtida Maya, Maya Yashoda called Radharani. So Radharani, very spontaneously she came, and Maya Yashoda said that, "Oh Lali, this is what I have heard. Can you please cook for my Krishna?" And Radharani was very small, so she took the order, she took the instruction of Maya Yashoda, and she said, "Yes, why not? I will definitely cook for your Krishna." And at that time, Krishna and Radharani were very small. So Radharani would cook and Krishna would eat from the hands of Srimati Radharani. So one day Maya Yashoda, she became so happy that Radharani is so selflessly serving her Krishna. It is said, our Acharyas say that when Maya Yashoda looked at the eyes of Srimati Radharani, she thought to herself, "I have never seen anyone so beautiful as Srimati Radharani." Because Radharani had blue eyes, she had nice soft hair, and she was so beautiful that it is believed that when Maya Yashoda would look at Radharani, she would feel that when this girl matures and grows up, even the Devatas would think to themselves that even in our abode, the Apsaras and the Gandharvas are nothing in comparison to Srimati Radharani. So Radharani was that beautiful. So naturally, Maya Yashoda was thinking that Radharani is coming and cooking for Krishna every day. I am close friends with Kirtida. Nanda Maharaj is close friends with Vrishabhanu Maharaj. So why don't we take this little ahead? Why don't we accept Radharani into our family? So Maya Yashoda told Srimati Radharani that, oh Lali, do you want to come into my family? Do you want that we accept you as our daughter-in-law? And Radharani had no idea because she was very small. So Maya Yashoda went inside and she brought some turmeric and she put turmeric in the hands of Srimati Radharani. Now we know in Indian tradition, when the girl puts turmeric in the hands, it only means that she is about to get engaged or she's engaged to someone. Now Radharani was very small. So Maya Yashoda put turmeric in her hand and she asked Radharani, oh Lali, do you know what does this mean? So Radharani, in her innocence, she said, no Maya, I don't know what it means. Can you please explain? And at that time Maya Yashoda said, oh Radharani, this only means that you are engaged to my Krishna. That you will forever be in our family and you'll cook and serve Krishna. And in this way, the whole world will celebrate this beautiful union of Radharani and Krishna. So when Radharani heard this, she was very small and she said, well, Maya, but I'm very small for marriage. Generally, I've seen marriage is done when someone is in youth, but I am very small. So Maya Yashoda dismissed by saying, oh, don't worry, I will talk to Maya Kirtida. We will talk to Vrishabhanu Maharaj and Kirtida, so you don't worry. We will speak to them. So Radharani, she agreed. And when Radharani was going back, she was looking at her hands and she was thinking, am I really engaged to Krishna? Will I be Krishna's bride? And thinking thus, Radharani was walking. And when she reached a little far ahead, her friends in the form of Lalita and Vishakha and Tungavidya and Indulekha, they were all waiting for Srimati Radharani. So in this way, when they were walking ahead, Srimati Radharani, she showed her hands to all her friends. And immediately when the friends saw, Lalita was the first to say, Radharani, your hands are completely yellow. Your hands are filled with turmeric. Do you know what it means? And Radharani said, yes, Maya Yashoda explained it to me. I also told Maya Yashoda that I am very small. But Lalita Sakhi, when she heard all this, she said, my humble advice to you, O Srimati Radharani, is in the kund nearby, you go and wash your hands. No one will get to know because this was between you and Maya Yashoda. So if you wash your hands in this kund, no one will get to know in Braj. Otherwise, if your hands are yellow, then every Brajavasi will get to know what has happened. So Radharani said, Lalita, please tell me what I'm supposed to do. And Lalita said, Radharani, my only advice to you is please wash your hands in this kund. So at all these instances, all these circumstances, it is Lalita who gives all these advices. She comes ahead to protect Srimati Radharani. So when Radharani hears this, she agrees to the advice of Lalita and she goes inside the beautiful kund. And Radharani starts stepping down. She takes one step, and she finally reaches where the waters are present. And Radharani, when she looks at the water, she looks at her own reflection. And dear devotees, Radharani is so enamored by her own beauty that when she starts washing her hand, she is washing and washing and washing and washing because she has completely lost track of time. She is so enamored by her own beauty that she has lost track of her time, and she is washing and washing. And the moment the waters touch the hand of Radharani, there are waves that are formed in the water body. And not just waves that are formed in the water body, but there are waves of love. There are waves of prem, waves of ecstatic love that are rising in the heart of Srimati Radharani. It is actually the waves of love in the heart of Radharani that is manifesting as the waves of love in that pond. And Radharani is washing it this way. And then Lalita, she sees and says, Radharani, I think it is enough. You have washed your hands so much that the whole water body has become yellow. It has completely become golden. So it's time you step out. So when Radharani she sees that completely the whole water body has become completely yellowish. And dear devotees, most of us would have already understood this place is none other than Pili Pokhar in Vrajdham. When we do parikramas, we find this beautiful place called as Pili Pokhar, because Pili in Brajbhasha, in Hindi, it means yellow, and Pokhar is a small water body. So we have Pokhar, we have Kund, we have Sarovars. So depending on the size, the names are given. Pokhar is a small water body. Kund is little bigger. Sarovars are the biggest. So this was a small water body, and because Radharani washed her hands and the whole place, whole Pokhar became yellow, it's called as Pili Pokhar. It's actually Pili Pukur, but over the period of time in Brajbhasha, that Pili Pukur has become Pukur, 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 Pukur. It has become Pokhar.
Let's go and play. Papa.
So it's a humble request if we can all mute our mics. So Radharani washed her hands, and Radharani with her friends Lalita and Vishaka and others, they left off for Barsana. Now, dear devotees, the interesting point is this was the favorite spot of Krishna. When Krishna would do Gocharan, when he would bring the cows, this, our Acharya say, is one of the favorite places of Shri Krishna. So one day it so happened that Krishna was bringing all the cows, and one naughty, one mischievous cow just vanished all of a sudden. Krishna was searching for all the cows, but one cow was not to be seen anywhere. See, Krishna's cows are very mischievous. They want Krishna to call them by their names. So Krishna would always call all the cows by their names. Krishna would say, Tungi, and the Tungi cow would come. Then Krishna would say, Mridanga Mukhi. So the cow is called as Mridanga Mukhi because its face is like a Mridanga. So Krishna has named the cow as Mridanga Mukhi. So in this way, Krishna has various different cows, and Krishna would call them by their names, Tungi and Mridanga Mukhi, and that's when the cows would come. So even the cows have an abhiman. Till the time Krishna doesn't call us by our names, we will not come. But one of these cows was so mischievous that it just vanished. So Krishna was searching and he couldn't find his cow. So finally Krishna, when he was searching, he came across this water body. And this is not the first time that Krishna had come across this place. Krishna had come here multiple times. But this time when Krishna came, Krishna was thinking, he was scratching his head and he was thinking, I have come here multiple times, but never have I seen this place. And what is this place? This water body is completely yellow. So Krishna was curious and he looked at the deers, he looked at the birds, he looked at the trees. He asked everyone, why is it that this place is yellow? All of y'all live close to this water body. All of y'all live close to this pond. So please tell me how this water body is yellowish in color. But none of them would speak because this was a very confidential aspect. This was a very confidential point. So they were all taking sides of Radharani. They were not telling anything to Krishna. Krishna asked multiple times, but all Krishna could hear is his own echo. They were not replying to Srimati Radharani. Because we see in Vrindavan, everyone is in the side of Srimati Radharani. All of us who have been to Vrindavan would have heard this famous Brajavasi bhajan where it says, Vrindavan ka kan kan bole Shri Radha, Shri Radha. Jamuna ji ki lehre bole Shri Radha, Shri Radha. Vrindavan ka lata pata bole Shri Radha, Shri Radha. Every creeper, every plant, the waves, the trees, the birds, the animals, they all are in the side of Srimati Radharani and they all keep chanting the names of Srimati Radharani. So when Krishna was asking that what happened to this kund, why is it yellow? No one answered, no one replied. So Krishna understood that there is something wrong here. I have to figure it out myself. So Krishna decided to go down And Krishna went down and down. And our acharyas very beautifully, they say that Krishna, he first placed his feet. So the water touched his ankle. And then Krishna went a little more inside because he was very curious. So he went a little more inside. And now the water body touched his knees. He went a little more inside. The water body touched his waist. He went a little more inside. The water reached his chest. Krishna went a little more inside. The water touched almost his neck. Krishna went a little more inside. The water touched his forehead, so much so that only his peacock feather was outside. His whole body was inside Pili Pokhar, but his peacock feather was outside. All this because Krishna was curious to know why this place turned yellowish. And now when Krishna entered inside, the friends who were there out, they were thinking, what has happened? Krishna has not come out. They were thinking to themselves, they were discussing among themselves, should we also enter inside? Should we go and save our Krishna? And when they were discussing this way, Krishna slowly came out of Pili Pokhar. But dear devotees, when Krishna came out of Pili Pokhar, there was a complete transformation. There was a complete change. No longer was he the blue sapphire. No longer was he bluish in color. No longer was he Neelamani. But now Krishna had become completely golden. Krishna had become completely golden in color. In the mood of Srimati Radharani, he was raising his hands up. And in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he was saying, Krishna Kothai, Krishna Kothai, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Because now he was in the mood of Radhika. And Radharani chants the name of Krishna. So now Krishna comes out of Pili Pokhar in the mood of Radharani and chants Krishna Kothai, Krishna Kothai, where is Krishna, where is Krishna? And now the trees, the birds, the plants, the animals, the friends, they're all perplexed. They have never seen anything like this. They are thinking, what has happened to our Krishna? Krishna came here to search for a cow. But how is it that he is chanting his own name? And how is it that he has now become golden in color? No one could understand. But Krishna, in the mood of Radharani, completely golden, was raising his hands and calling out Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And this went on for some time. And then finally, Krishna came back to his external consciousness. And then Krishna again, as if nothing had happened, Krishna started again searching for his lost cow. So our acharyas say that it's not just in Navadvip Dham. Even 5,000 years back, Krishna, through this pastime of Pili Pokhar, he gave a hint that very soon I will come down in the age of Kali as Gauranga Mahaprabhu to taste the love of Srimati Radharani, to see from her eyes as to what she feels when she sees me. So in this way, Kaviraj Goswami says, there are 3 internal reasons for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First, Adi Leela, chapter 1, text 4, 5, 6. Anarpita charim chirat karunaya avatirna kalau samarpaitum unnata ujjvala rasam swabhakte shriyam hari purata sundara dviti kadamba sandipitah Sadardaya Kandare Spuratova Sachinandana Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladhini Shakti Rasmat Ekat Manav Apibhuvipuram Deha Bhedam Gatautau Chaitanyakyam Prakata Madhuna Tadvayam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhavadviti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. Adi Leela, chapter 1, text 4, 5, and 6 describes the 3 internal reasons for Gauranga Mahaprabhu's appearance. First, Krishna thought to himself, what is the nature of Srimati Radharani's love? What is the nature of her love? Second, what are the qualities that she sees in me? And third, how does she feel when I reciprocate to her love? These were the 3 internal reasons, dear devotees. First, Krishna thought to himself, what is the nature of Radharani's love? Second, what are the qualities that she sees in me? And finally, the third, how does she feel when I reciprocate to her love? Thinking in this way, Krishna, to understand the mood of his own pure devotee, Srimati Radharani, Krishna comes down taking her mood as Gauranga Mahaprabhu in her golden complexion, exactly like the way he took the golden complexion 5,000 years back in Dwapar Yuga in Pili Pokhur. So the next time we go to Braj Mandal, we can see this beautiful place, Pili Pokhur. Of course, it has now become Aprakat, but that place, Leela Sthali, is still present. But to the naked eye, because of a period of time, it has now become completely Aprakat to make our material vision. So in this way, Kaviraj Goswami says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming down to give this love and to preach about this love. Prem ras niryas korite aswadan, rag marg bhakti loke korite pracharan. He is coming to taste the love of Srimati Radharani, while at the same time he is coming to give, to distribute that love of Srimati Radharani. But a very important question here arises. We were not there 500 years back. We were not there even during the pastimes of Krishna. So how can we access that mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? How can we become recipients of the mercy of Gauranga Mahaprabhu? Dear devotees, this is a very important question. How can we access the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our lives? Srila Narottam Das Thakuri says, Heno nitai vine bhai, Heno nitai vine bhai, Radha Krishna pahite nai, Drida kori dharo nitai pai, Drida kori dharo nitai pai. Our Narottam Das Thakur is saying, as we know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Radha and Krishna. So Narottam Das Thakur says, Heno nitai vine bhai, Radha Krishna paite nai. Without Nityananda Prabhu, no one has ever gotten Radha and Krishna, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and no one will ever get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the future. Nityananda Prabhu is that personality who connects us to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he is the embodiment of Adi Guru. It is Guru who takes us towards the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So it is Nityananda Prabhu. Without Nityananda Prabhu, we cannot get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now the question, follow-up question, how do we get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu? How do we please Nityananda Prabhu? Because we said that to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to please Nityananda. But the question arises, how do we please Nityananda Prabhu? Well, Nityananda Prabhu is so merciful that he answers it himself. Nityananda Prabhu says, Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Leha Gaurangera Naam Re. Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Leha Gaurangera Naam Re. Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje, Se hoy Amar Pran Re. Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje, Se hoy Amar Pran Re. Nityananda Prabhu is saying, Bhaja Gauranga, worship Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Leha Gaurangero Namare. Speak about Gauranga, chant the names of Gauranga, worship Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje, Se hoy Amara Pranare. Our Nityananda Rai is saying, anyone who worships Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Se hoy Amara Pranare. That person becomes my life and soul. So the process is simple. We have to chant about Gauranga. We have to worship Gauranga. And we have to speak about Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Anyone who does this, they become the life and soul of Nityananda Prabhu, who is the only way who can help us access the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu, not just once, in multiple times, he says the same point. In Chaitanya Charitamrita also, Nityananda Prabhu says the same point, which Kaviraj Goswami has very beautifully given us. Nityananda Ram, he says, Chaitanya Seva, Chaitanya Gao, Lo Chaitanya Nam, Chaitanya Jai Bhakti Kare, Sei Mora Pran. Our Nityananda Ram, he says, Chaitanya Gao, Chaitanya Seva, Lo Chaitanya Nam. Same point, worship Chaitanya, speak about Chaitanya, give Mahaprabhu to everyone. Chaitanya Jai Bhakti Kare, anyone who does bhakti, who worships Gauranga Mahaprabhu, they become my life and soul. So in two instances, Nityananda Prabhu is saying that if you want to please me, if you want to give happiness to my heart, chant the names of Gauranga. Last time, as we said, Prabhupada's very dear God brother always had this habit. Whenever he would speak, in seconds gap, he would have this habit of constantly chanting Gaura Hari, Nitai Gaura Hari, Nitai Gaura Hari, Nitai Gaura Hari. So we also can incorporate this habit when we are writing emails, when we are on the laptop, whether we are cooking, whether we are driving, whether we are taking a bath. Keep chanting Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari, Gaura Hari. By doing this, Nityananda Prabhu is giving guarantee that person becomes my life and soul. So why should we miss out on an opportunity when we can please very well the heart of Nityananda Ram? So it's very beautifully given by Kaviraj Goswami that to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Kali, who's like the moon of Navadvip, we have to go via Nityananda Ram. And Nityananda Ram says that to please me, you chant the names of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. But it's very interesting, dear devotees. We know that Nityananda Prabhu was older to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Prakat pastimes. And he was from Ekachakra Dham, while our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Nimai Pandit, was in Nadia Dham. So Nityananda Prabhu always had this desire that I have to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have to meet Gauranga. But he was waiting. He was waiting for that instance wherein he can go and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was waiting when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts his Harinam Sankirtan revolution. He was waiting when Mahaprabhu starts the Nam Sankirtan explosion, the tumultuous chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And that is the time Nityananda Prabhu thought of meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time. So our most worshipable Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is not different from Vyasadev, Chaitanya Leela Bhagavat Kohe Veda Vyas, Chaitanya Leela Vyas Shri Vrindavana Das. Krishna Leela was given by Vyasadev, and the same Vyasadev comes down in this age as Vrindavan Das Thakur to give Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So Vrindavan Das Thakur in the Madhya Khanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat very beautifully describes the first meeting, the Pratham Milan of Gauranga and Nityananda in Navadvip Dham. So this is very interesting, dear devotees. This is called as the Pratham Milan, the first time Nitai and Gauranga are meeting. We have heard as to how Nitai and Gauranga perform different pastimes, whether it is in Jagannath Puri or different places. But Vrindavan Das Thakur says, how did they first come in contact with each other? And what was the emotions? What was that mood? What was the ecstatic symptoms that were going on in the heart of Gauranga and Nityananda? That is given by Vrindavan Das Thakur. So when our Nityananda Prabhu, when he got to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has now started his Nam Sankirtan revolution, Nityananda Prabhu at that time was in Vrindavan Dham. And he decided to walk all the way from Vrindavan to Navadvip. And when he reached Navadvip Dham, Nityananda Prabhu was staying at the house of Nandanacharya. So Nandanacharya was very happy to have Nityananda Prabhu in his house. He gave Nityananda Prabhu a seat. He gave Nityananda Prabhu some prasad. He gave a place for Nityananda Prabhu to sleep. Very nicely, Nandanacharya was taking care of our Nityananda Prabhu. And the moment Nityananda Prabhu reached Navadvip Dham, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being Bhagavan, he understood that his Nitai has now come to Navadvip Dham. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu became so ecstatic that he asked Srivas Pandit. We have Pandit Srivas Prabhu here, so it's the right discussion. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Srivas Pandit and Haridas Thakur, "Oh Haridas, oh Srivas Pandit, can you please go and search in Navadvip Dham as to where this great personality is present?" Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave beautiful descriptions of Nityananda Prabhu as to how he would be wearing a blue dhoti, as to how he would be as effulgent as a spring cloud, as to how Nityananda Prabhu would have a blue turban, how he, in the mood of Balaram, will have a plow, how in one hand he will have a kamandalu, and so on and so forth. So Haridas Thakur and Srivas Pandit, they had not seen Nityananda Prabhu. So they had only heard the descriptions of Nityananda Prabhu from the lotus and Haridas Thakur. Can you please go and search for for our Nityananda Prabhu? He has arrived in Navadvip Dham. Can you please search and get him here so that I can meet and I can speak to him? So Srivas and Haridas, who were ready, who were the servants of the Supreme Lord, they immediately agreed. And they started searching in Navadvip Dham. And they searched and they searched and they searched. Vrindavan Das Thakur says, both of them, Haridas and Srivas Pandit, searched for 9 hours straight in Navadvip Dham. They searched in the house of brahmacharis, they searched in the house of grahastas, they searched in the house of sannyasis, so much so that Vrindavan Das Thakur says both of them even searched in the house of the atheist as to where Nityananda Prabhu is. But they couldn't find Nityananda Rai. They searched everywhere. And after 9 hours, they came back to Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And they told Gauranga Mahaprabhu, "Oh Prabhu, we are really sorry. We tried to fulfill your instructions. We searched to the best of our ability, but we couldn't find the personality whom you discussed, whom you mentioned to us." So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, Mahaprabhu smiled. And being Bhagavan, he exactly knew where Nityananda Prabhu is. So then he held the hand of Srivas and Haridas and he took them to the house of Nandanacharya. Now, dear devotees, we are reaching that point when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to meet Nityananda Prabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enters the house of Nandanacharya. And at that point, Nityananda Prabhu is smiling and laughing. In the mood of Avadhut, he is a complete Avadhut. He is the crest jewel of all Avadhuts. Avadhut Shiromani Nityananda Ram. So our Nityananda Prabhu is smiling and laughing because he knows that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on his way. So when Mahaprabhu enters, Nityananda Prabhu sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees Nityananda Prabhu. And as Gaur Govinda Maharaj describes, it was a festival of union. It was Netra Utsav. It was a festival of meeting of the two eyes. Nityananda Prabhu's eyes were stunned. He was looking at the moon-like face of Gauranga. And Gauranga Mahaprabhu understood that my Nitai is getting ecstatic. Nityananda Prabhu had tears in his eyes. He was rolling on the ground. He was gasping. He was breathing heavily. There were tears from his eyes. He was rolling on the ground. He was breathing heavily. His eyes were fixed on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was drinking the beauty of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And at that time, to increase the rasa, dear devotees, to increase the mellow, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looks at Srivas. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just by the indication of the eye, gives an instruction to Srivas. And Srivas, who understands the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understands that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants me to recite a verse from the Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just looks at Srivas and tells him that please recite a verse from the Bhagavatam that will increase this mood of Nityananda Prabhu. And at that time, Srivas chants an immortal verse. Dear devotees, there are 18,000 verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srivas could have picked any verse from the scripture, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, but he picks one verse which was a stimulant in the first meeting of Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What was this verse? Dear devotees, this verse comes from the 21st chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam in the section of the Venu Geet. As we know, the 10th canto has various geets in the form of Gopi Geet, Venu Geet, Yugal Geet, Pranay Geet, Brahmar Geet, etc. So Srivas, he picked a verse from the 10th canto, 21st chapter, which is the Venu Geet. Now, dear devotees, I would just like to share my screen so that we have the verse in front of us and we can understand as to what was so brilliant about this verse that Srivas picked and why was there transformation in the heart of Nityananda Prabhu. So I'll share my screen quickly here. Yes, so this is Canto 10, Chapter 21, Text 5, one of the immortal verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This comes from the Venu Geet section, and this section is so glorious that one of the most famous verses that Radharani chanted in the glorification of Giriraj, Hantayam Adhir Rabala Haridas Avarya, that also comes from this chapter. That is 10:21:18. So this chapter has some very fantastic verses. We'll chant this verse and see the glories of this verse that Srivas chanted. Barha pidam natavara vapu karnayo karnikaram bibrat vasah kanaka kapisham vaijayantim chamalam randhran venur adhara sudayan purayan gopa brindai vrindaranyam swapada ramanam pravishad gita kirtihi. This verse describes Krishna entering the forest of Vrindavan, and it also describes the beauty of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Shukadev Goswami starts the verse by saying Barha Pidam. The word Barha actually means a peacock, and A means too much. Like, for example, in Sanskrit we say Grahastha Ashram or Brahmachari Ashram. So Shrama means hard work. Ashrama, too much hard work. That place where there is too much hard work to get Krishna is called as Grahastha Ashram, Brahmachari Ashram, Sannyas Ashram. So A means too much. And Pidam means a crown. And we said Barha means a peacock. But Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that one word can have different meanings based on the context. So here the word Barha doesn't mean a peacock, but it means peacock feathers. So Shukadev Goswami says, Barha Pidam. Krishna has a crown of peacock feathers on his head. Now we will have this question, why peacock feathers and why not any other animal? Well, for the fact that there are various reasons, but there is one very well-known fact that when Radharani was in Man, in sulking anger, it is the dance of peacock that pacified Srimati Radharani. Krishna tried his level best to pacify Srimati Radharani, but Krishna couldn't. But peacock, by its dancing, it pacified the sulking anger of Srimati Radharani. So when Krishna saw that peacock actually helped him reduce the man, the anger of Srimati Radharani, Krishna became so happy that Krishna also became like a peacock and started dancing like a peacock. Because Krishna was thinking to himself that if one peacock can give happiness to Radharani, how about two peacocks? Radharani will become so happy when she sees two peacocks dancing. So Krishna also becomes a peacock and he starts dancing. And Radharani, when she sees this, she starts laughing and she also becomes a peahen and she starts dancing. So this is the famous pastime of Mor Kutir in Braj Dham. We all would have gone to this place where Krishna becomes the peacock and Radharani becomes the peahen. So this is the reason Krishna, in gratitude, he keeps peacock feathers on his head. There are multiple reasons to this, because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 9th chapter that Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. Krishna says, please give me patram, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, and little water. And the peacock, it doesn't have fruit, it doesn't have water, it doesn't have flower. All it has is patram in the form of peacock feather. So it is ready to give completely what it has for the pleasure of Sri Krishna, which is nothing but Atma Nivedanam, complete surrender. So the peacock demonstrates complete surrender by giving all of its peacock feathers for the happiness of Sri Krishna. So Krishna demonstrates this point that anyone who completely surrenders to me, I keep them in my head. Just like Krishna keeps the peacock feather on his head. So Shukadeva Goswami starts by saying Barha Pidam. Krishna has a beautiful crown of peacock feathers. And then he says Natavara Vapu. Nata means dancing. Natavara. He is the best among dancers. We see Lord Shiva is also super excellent in dancing. But when Krishna dances, it is the Gandharvas and the Apsaras and even Lord Shiva, it's class time for them. They take notes. When Krishna dances, they see moves that they have never seen. So they write down all the notes so that they can also incorporate in their dancing. So Krishna is not a Varavapu. He's the best among dancers. When he dances, everyone stops dancing and they just look at Krishna perform his moves. And now comes the interesting part. Karana Yoho Karanikaram. Now, Karanikar is a blue flower that is found in the spiritual world. Karanikara flower. It's a blue flower. And Karna means the ear. But Shukadev Goswami says Karna Yoho Karanikaram. 2 ears, a dual case is used. Karna Yoho means 2 ears and Karanikaram, 1 flower. So 2 ears and 1 flower. Now at this point, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments something very fascinating. I happen to hear this from my revered spiritual master. Vishwanath Chakravarti says something very fabulous. Now, if you see Karna Yoho 2 ears means there should be 2 flowers. Why is Krishna having just 1 flower in his ear? Vishwanath Chakravarti comments by saying, Krishna is so restless that he takes flower, keeps it in 1 ear, then within 5 seconds he keeps it in another ear, then within few minutes he keeps it in another ear, then within few minutes he keeps it in another ear. So constantly he keeps switching from 1 ear to another ear to another ear to another ear. So when the onlookers, they see that there are 2 ears, but there are only 1 flower because of Krishna's restless nature. He keeps 1 flower and keeps moving from 1 ear to another ear to another ear to another ear. So Vishwanath Chakravarti very beautifully says, this is the reason Shukadev Goswami saying, Karna Yoho, 2 ears, but Karnikara, 1 flower, because of Krishna's restless nature. Then Bibrat Vasaha, Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayantim Chamalam. Now Krishna, what he wears is described. Bibrat, Krishna wears Vasaha. He wears Kanaka Kapisham. He wears a lightning, golden garment, a yellowish garment. And Vaijayantim Chamala. Krishna has a garland which is Vaijayanti. We know Jayanti comes from the root word victory. Jayati. Jayati means victory. So Vaijayanti, Vai means Vishesha Rupena, special victory. What is this garland, Vaijayanti Mala, that Krishna is wearing? It is the garland of victory, but not victory over the demons. Not over his killing of Kamsa and Arishtasur and other demons. That is not what the garland is signifying. Vaijayanti Mala signifies that Krishna has become victorious over the hearts of the Brajavasis. All the Brajavasis have sold their heart 100% to Shri Krishna. So as, like you see in this world, we have medals. Where is this tradition coming from? It is coming from Krishna. Because in the spiritual world, there is no medals, but there is a garland. Krishna is wearing a Vaijayanti Mala, victory garland. But that in the perverted reflection comes down as medals. But that original is coming from the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So Krishna, because he is victorious over the hearts of all the Brajavasis, Krishna wears a Vaijayanti Mala. And your devotees, Vaijayanti Mala comprises of 5 forest flowers. We have Mandara, Kunda, Kamala, Parijata and Tulasi. It is only when these 5 flowers come together, it is from Vaijayanti Mala. Not any other flower. Only when these 5 flowers come together, it is called Vaijayanti Mala of 5 forest flowers. So in the third line, now Shukadev Goswami says, we have finished 2 lines. Third line, Shukadev Goswami says, Randhran Venur Adhara Sudayan Apurayan Gopa Brindai. And Krishna very beautifully, he pours the nectar of his lips into the flute. We know there are some beautiful characteristics of the flute. There is a reason why Krishna always has the flute next to him. And one of the reason is the flute is straightforward. You see the flute, it is very straight, which means there is no duplicity. It is completely straightforward. So if someone is completely straightforward, Krishna keeps him very close to his heart. And the second reason, we see the flute has holes, which means the flute is non-hypocritic. What is in is what is out. What is in, that is air, is what is out, that is air. So there is no hypocrisy in the heart of the flute. What is in is what is out, and the flute is also very straightforward. So Krishna is demonstrating by holding the flute that if someone is straightforward, not having duplicity and hypocrisy in the heart, then he becomes a recipient of his mercy. Randhran Venur Adhara Sudayan Apurayan Gopa Vrindai Vrindha Ranyam Swapada Ramanam Pravishat Gita Kirti. In this way, the Supreme Lord, who was wearing a crown of peacock feathers, who is the best among dancers, who because of his restless nature has 2 ears but 1 karnikara flower, who wears a golden garment, who has a Vaijayanti Mala, which comprises of 5 forest flowers, and who very beautifully is pouring the nectar of his lips inside the flute. That wonderfully beautiful, glorious Krishna is entering the forest of Vrindavan, and he is decorating the forest of Vrindavan by his Swapada. His own feet are entering the forest of Braj, and they're decorating the land of Vrindavan Dham. So in this way, Shrivas chanted this verse to Nityananda Prabhu, in front of Nityananda Prabhu. And now, when Nityananda Prabhu heard this verse, emotions were rising in his heart. There was a flood of emotions in the heart of Nityananda Prabhu. Why? Because this verse describes the beauty of Krishna. And Nityananda Prabhu at that moment was in the mood of Balaram. He was looking at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Krishna. And it is for this reason that Shrivas chanted this verse that glorifies Krishna. Because Nitai was in the mood of Balaram, and he was looking at Chaitanya in the mood of Sri Krishna. So when Nityananda Prabhu heard this verse, he fell to the ground, unconscious. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked at Shrivas and said, Aniyor, 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 keep chanting, keep chanting. And Shrivas was chanting this verse again and again and again and again. And Nityananda Prabhu, every time he would hear, he would get up and again fall to the ground. He would get up, get ecstatic, and again fall to the ground. This happened multiple times, and no one could understand the mood of Nityananda Ram. Finally, our Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Gaura Chandra, he placed Nityananda Prabhu on his lap. And when Nityananda Prabhu was placed in the lap of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu slowly became calm. Vrindavan Das Thakur says this was exactly like Lakshman placing his head on the lotus lap of Prabhu Shri Ram, Maryada Purushottam Ramchandra. Because we know in Ramayana, when Indrajit shot the arrow, Lakshman fell to the ground, but later his head was placed in the lotus lap of Maryada Purushottam Ramachandra. Similarly, Nityananda Prabhu was shot by the arrows of Prema Bhakti, of love of Godhead. And that same Lakshman who had appeared as Nityananda Ram was keeping his head on the lotus lap of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is not different from Ramachandra. So in this way, Vrindavan Das Thakur says, in Navadvip Dham, in Nadia, there was a flood of ecstasy that took place in the first meeting of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Vrindavan Das Thakur calls it the Pratham Milan, the first meeting of Chaitanya and Nityananda that took place in Navadvip Dham. So Chaitanya and Nityananda are like the sun and the moon. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like the sun, while Nityananda Prabhu is like the moon. And both of them have risen in this dark age of Kali to dispel the ignorance that is present in the heart of everyone. But the question is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is fulfilling the internal heart's desire that he has by tasting the mood of Radharani. But how is he giving it out? How is Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu giving the mood of Radharani to everyone on the streets of the age of Kali? It is to the process of the holy name, Hari Nam Sankirtan. Sei dware achandale kirtane sanchare Nama prema mala gathi podila samsare. Kaviraj Goswami says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought to himself, as Krishna, when he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna thought to himself, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. I have told them to offer a flower, a leaf, a fruit, and little water. But people in Kali, they are so busy that they have no time for anything. They have their academic deadlines, they have their project deadlines, they have their deadlines of their office. If someone is a homemaker, they have some other deadlines. Everyone has so much deadlines that if I tell them Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, they will not even have time for that. Krishna is thinking, I spoke everything, but I know for the fact that itna bhi nahi karenge. They don't have time for even this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought to himself, okay, you at least accepted, Baba. I will give you flower, you at least accept it. And that is easy. The Lord is giving flower, you have to just accept it. What is this flower, dear devotees? It is nothing but the garland of the holy name. Nama prema mala gonthi podila samsare. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is thinking that you will not offer me flowers, I know, but I will offer you the garland of the holy name. You accept it in your life. And that is like offering flower to me. Nama prema mala gothi podila samsare. And to accept flower is very easy. We may be walking on the streets or we may be doing anything. Holy name can be chanted, and that's like offering the flower that Krishna has mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is merciful, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is one notch higher. He says, you accept this garland of the holy name. And time and again, this mahima, this glory of the holy name is demonstrated. In Prema Vivarta, this will be the last 7 minutes of our discussion, dear devotees. In the Prema Vivarta, Sri Jagadananda Pandit gives a very beautiful story that describes the power of the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Once Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his associates was in Navadvip Dham. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to a nearby river. And the locals who were present there, they told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu, don't go there. There is a crocodile. Don't go there. The crocodile is very dangerous. It may bite you. Oh Chaitanya, oh Nimai Pandit, your soft, tender like golden body may be bitten by a crocodile. My dear Lord, please don't go there. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we know the Supreme Lord, if he thinks something, he will do it. So the Lord had decided that he has to go to this water body. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there and he saw this crocodile. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this crocodile, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately started chanting the holy name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loudly with his associates did a tumultuous Harinam Sankirtan. They loudly chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we can imagine when Gauranga Mahaprabhu is chanting, what would the ecstasy be? We see when Prabhupada chanted in Tompkins Square Park, so many were attracted because of Prabhupada's pure chanting. And likewise, Sripad Ayendra Prabhu, when he would chant, people like magnets, like iron filings, they would get attracted to Sripad Ayendra Prabhu because of purity, because of the Shuddha Naam. So we can imagine that if the associate is so powerful in their chanting, what will happen when Gauranga Mahaprabhu himself, he chants? So there was a complete Harinam Sankirtan and the whole mood completely changed. And when the Harinam Sankirtan was going on, the crocodile was hearing everything. And in due course, he got a body of a human. Now, when the crocodile got the body of a human, the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were perplexed. They asked this boy that, what is this? How is it that you've got the body of a crocodile? Can you please explain us? Because definitely there is some history to it. That is the reason you're a crocodile. Can you please explain the history? At that time, this boy, he explains, in the age of Satya Yuga, this boy, when he was small, he was so mischievous that once when a sadhu was doing his tapasya, Prema Vivarta Jagadananda Pandit describes this pastime. When the sadhu was doing this tapasya, this small child was so naughty, as all small children are. The small child was so naughty that he went and he cut the hair. He cut the shika of this sadhu. Now we know that sadhus generally they grow their hair, and all their shakti is generally there in their shika, is there in their hair. But the sadhu who was doing his tapasya was so engrossed in his tapasya, this small child, he didn't know. So out of his mischievousness, he went and he cut the hair of this sadhu and he started laughing. So when the sadhu opened his eyes, he saw this mischievous child, mischievous boy, and he said that you have the tendency to cut and bite into other people's territory and other people's possession. You have the tendency to bite into other people. I curse you that may you become a crocodile. Because you see, that's what a crocodile does. The crocodile is known for its biting. Whatever you give, it knows to bite. So the sadhu, he cursed by saying, you have the tendency to bite. I curse you that you will become a crocodile in a pond. So this boy, he was repenting. He was saying, oh sadhu, I didn't know. Please forgive me. Out of my immaturity, I was doing it, but please forgive me. Please bestow some mercy. Sadhus are known to be merciful. Please shower some mercy. So the sadhu said, okay, I will shower my mercy on you. But this mercy will be in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming and delivering you. Oh boy, oh son, for the next 4 ages, that was Satya Yuga, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and in Kali, when the Supreme Lord, the most munificent, most magnanimous, most merciful incarnation, Adbhuta Madhurya, Adbhuta Karunya, Adbhuta Audarya, Avatar, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, when he appears, he will come and deliver you by the chanting of the holy name. So you have to wait till then to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So this boy in the form of crocodile was waiting Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali only to hear the holy name from the lips of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So Jagadananda Pandit, he makes this point that if a crocodile by hearing the holy name can get his original form back, then why should we doubt that by chanting and by hearing the holy name, we will also get our original form back in the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. If the crocodile by hearing the holy name can get his original form back in the form of a boy, why should we doubt for the fact that when we chant the holy name, we will also get the original form, that is Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, being the eternal servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way, our predecessor acharyas, especially Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he sings the glories of the holy name, because it is the holy name, when chanted, helps to access the treasure house of love of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving love of Godhead, the mood of Srimati Radharani, being the servant of Radha and Krishna through the chanting of the holy name. So we have to be so indebted to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Finally, to wrap up, dear devotees, Kaviraj Goswami is so exalted, is so glorious, that he is not in the mood of an author, but he is in the mood of a doctor. And why do I say so? Because we see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela first chapter, In the first chapter of the Madhya Leela of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami, because he's so old, he feels to himself that probably I may not even live to complete the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. So why not I give a synopsis of all the pastimes of Gauranga, so that even if I'm not present, people will not be bereft of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I will at least give a synopsis, so they will have something that they can chew and something that they can relish. Now, we see in this world, when an author he writes, he doesn't give the essence of the whole book in the middle of the book. He will make you wait. He will write 380 pages, some fictitious story, and the last 20 pages he will try to reconcile. He will give the essence. But Kaviraj Goswami is not an author. In the Madhya Leela itself, he is giving the essence. He is giving all the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is in the mood of a doctor, because he wants to heal people of this world. He doesn't want name and fame, but he wants people to get benefited by hearing the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the mood of a doctor. And Kaviraj Goswami says, Vaigunya Kita Kalita Paishunya Vrina Pidita Dainyarnave Nivagnoham Chaitanyam Vaidyamashreye. Shri Kaviraj Goswami in Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Vaigunya Kita Kalita. He says, Kita means insects. He's saying the insects of material desires are biting me. And Paishunya Vrina Pidita. And I am suffering from envy. Now this is Kaviraj Goswami's humility. He is not being bitten by material desires, nor is he having any envy. But in his humility he is saying. And then Kaviraj Goswami says, Vaigunya Kita Kalita Paishunya Vrina Pidita Dainyarnave Nivagnoham Chaitanya Vaidyamashraya. I offer my obeisances to Vaidya, to the doctor like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Vaidyamashraya. I offer my prayers to the ability to clean the material desires that are there in the heart, who has the ability to cure lust, anger, pride, envy, jealousy that are there in the heart. I offer my obeisances to that doctor-like personality, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we see this is a very fantastic verse which we can mark and we can by heart. And every morning that we get up, the moment we open our eyes, we can chant this verse, praying, offering our prayers to the doctor like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My dear Lord, you are a doctor and you can clear the diseases that are there in my heart for lifetimes together. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of doctor, and that mood is absorbed, is being incorporated by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And we find that same mood is being incorporated by our Srila Prabhupada. Why? Because we see Prabhupada finished the Bhagavad Gita and he was translating the Bhagavatam. But Prabhupada, like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, also thought to himself that maybe I may not live to finish the whole of Bhagavatam. So why don't I give a synopsis of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam in the form of Krishna book? So even if I'm not present, people will not be bereft of the 10th canto, which is a sweet smiling face of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So we find, dear devotees, Srila Prabhupada is again in the mood of a doctor and not in the mood of an author. And he is imbibing this mood from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who is also in the mood of doctor and not in the mood of an author. And both of them are deriving this mood from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the ultimate Vaidya, who is the ultimate doctor. So in this way, this is a very beautiful verse that we find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that we can by heart and pray and beg and beseech Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day, right after we get up. The moment we open our eyes, we can chant this verse and ask for the blessings to the doctor-like personality, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this way, I end our two-part series on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the rising moon of Navadvip. And in today's discussion, to summarize, we discussed the three internal reasons and the one external reason. We also discussed the beautiful pastime of Pili Pokhar and how Krishna 5,000 years back gave an indication of his Gaura avatar We also discussed the beautiful meeting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu in Navadvip Dham, which was for the first time, the Pratham Milan. And finally, we also discussed the power and the glories of the holy name through this beautiful pastime of the crocodile who was scourged by the sage and who revived his original form by the chanting of the holy names. Having said this, I humbly stop here, and I thank all the devotees for very kindly and patiently hearing me blabber for the past 1.5 hours. If I made any mistakes, which I'm sure I did, please, as Saragrahi Vaishnavas, kindly forgive me. I am still learning on this path of bhakti. If there were any mistakes that I did, please feel free to correct me. And if there are any points of reconciliation, or if there are any questions or any reflections that we want to share, please feel free to do that. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Nityananda Rai ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.